Hello and welcome to Mee Gindys.
It's once again that time of the week where we're wondering about all sorts of things. Today, Peel Hill and death.
Oh, that's a cheery mix. I've got a challenge with a plastic bottle, which is in front of you, which may or may not work, and we might go looking on a bit of Florrie Fording again. Yes, you remember that. Well, all sorts as per normal in the programme, and we were having... I was going to say having fun out west. That sounds like it might be a euphemism, so I don't know if I should say that or not.
It wasn't a euphemism until you said it could be one.
It does sound like it should be a euphemism.
Well, west is best.
Yes, so I'm told. I mean, I don't know. Do you prefer south? Or you're a west girl, really? You're a west girl. Yeah.
I'm a west person,
okay. Fair enough. We have been over in the west of the island. We were thinking, and what we might try and do is revisit the joys of... Because it's become so topical again, I was wondering, if you see what I did there, whether we should revisit the joys of sea swimming, which now seems to be more difficult to find someone who's not sea swimming, than someone who is sea swimming.
It really has taken off in a big way, hasn't it? And I first did it, as you may remember, if you listened to Mee Gindys last autumn, I went along with Christy because she'd been going fairly often with a group of friends of hers. And as I said at the time, I do not even do cold water in a swimming pool. So I just don't do cold water. Even on holiday, I struggle to get in the pool. I much prefer just to be sat on the side, with the sun. So it took a lot of persuading for me to do it, particularly in the sea, because you just, it's the sea, isn't it?
When you say just the sea, you're talking about the temperature or things you might find in it? Unfortunately,
it's a bit of both. Isn't it? It is a little bit of both, but let's gloss over that. And I went for the first time, and was it October or November, and it was cold. There was something incredibly invigorating about it, and I can't say that I go every single week now, but I've certainly done it sort of, another at least half a dozen times since then, particularly with the same group of people, because there's something very bonding about that. It is beautiful out in Fenella, and that's last time I did it a few weeks ago. Was in there for about 20 minutes, and I properly swam. I mean, my feet were off the ground and everything.
And this in a wetsuit or cosy?
No, I was just in a cosy this time.
That's very good.
But I did. There was a lovely lady. It was actually her birthday, and she goes sea swimming all the time, and she lent me her gloves. She had special sort of, I don't know what you'd call them, but special sea swimming gloves. Swimming gloves. And it made the world of difference, because that's the thing I really struggle with, is the coldness in your extremities. It made such a difference having warmer hands, cold everywhere else, but warmer hands. And yeah, so it was amazing. And it's just that initial getting in. I think if you can get over that and sort of keep under for a few seconds, it does actually get a little bit easier. And then when you come out, I've got one of those big dry robe things, so you sort of warm off fairly quickly. But apparently it's important not to warm up too quickly. You have to sort of, acclimatise a little bit, so you wouldn't want to go and sort of walk into a sauna straight afterwards, because, it's a bit of a shock in body temperature. But there is something in it, and it's a unique experience, and I think you need to try it.
Well, you know what? I mean, I like to think of myself as being at the vanguard, the very early vanguard, because, again, I haven't actually been in the sea at all. 2 years? Maybe more. 3 years. I can't remember the last time I said. Well, I think, but it's got to be a minimum of 2 years, put it that way. That said, if I go back much further, as in 35, maybe 40 years, somewhere in that region, I would have thought. Then my brother and myself were, before the New Year's Day dips became trendy, we used to do New Year's Day dips. I don't know when the Peel one started, then maybe, I'm sure there might have been some hardy souls somewhere doing it, but I mean, way back in the day, and I'm talking early 1980s, something like that. My brother, then we were doing pantos, and my brother said, I've got a good idea for a party. Let's go and get Dad to drop us down on the Douglas Promenade tomorrow morning before midday, and we'll go for a swim in the sea. And of course, it sounds like a great idea when you've had a few beers. But we, having told several people who are going to do it, of course, you're then obliged to, go through with this boast. So we did. And it's a bit like you said, we went in, it was incredibly cold, but we did go in, we did swim for a few minutes, then came out again, and it was pretty cold coming out. But yeah, quite sort of invigorating. And then we thought, right, we'll do it again next year. And so we did it for several years on the trot. And then one year it didn't happen, and that was it. Then we've never done it since. And by that time, I think the Peel one certainly had started off, maybe some of the others. And again, that had gathered a head of steam. And now, of course, you go around the island, pretty much any beach you care to mention, you'll find people going for a dip.
And yeah, I think it does, for some people, become quite addictive. So I've got a friend who, again, sort of started off towards the end of last year, found it really difficult going in, but now will go in at least once a day and will find any opportunity to go in and just have a few minutes. So I don't know. I mean, it's quite a sort of meditative experience because you can't focus on anything else other than the fact that it's cold.
It's not the extremities for me, it's the nether regions. That's what I always think. I'm fine. Hands and feet usually fine. It's just when it gets up to your bits.
Maybe you can get some sort of special...
Can you get like a warm patch? Like a sort of cosy, waterproof patch?
This conversation's going where I really don't want it to go. And now when we go swimming, that's all I'm going to be thinking about.
Well, I bet you someone makes one. There will be a little cosy patch, won't there?
Well, maybe, you know, in the same way you've got those warm gloves, special sea gloves. I don't know, maybe there is.
Adapt one of those.
Yeah, we could just use one of the little fingers, yeah? Anyway, this is Mee Gindys here on Manx Radio.
Yes.
And if you were listening last week, we were talking to Roy Baker, who is the font of all knowledge, I believe, when it comes to all things Peel. And we were talking about Spit Corner or Weatherglass Corner. And we spent a little bit more time with him and found out some more interesting Peel facts. Well, we are here in Peel once again, and I suggested last time that when we were talking to Roy Baker that he'd probably have many more stories and interesting facts up his sleeve, and I don't think I was wrong, because we are standing once again at Weatherglass Corner or Spit Corner, whichever you prefer to refer it to, and we're looking up at what I always call Peel Hill. Now, I assumed that the whole lot was Peel Hill, but apparently, Roy, I was wrong.
No, it's half Peel Hill, half Knockalo. I took a number of years ago, I was asked by the Clothworkers Primary School to take the teachers around the harbour side to tell them the history of the harbour, or as much as I could do. And we were looking at the hill, and I says, oh, by the way, the Vikings called this Horse Hill, which he actually did. It resembled the back of a horse. And they were all looking at it, well, we can't see that. And I said, well, if you squint your eyes, you can. Well, I had 30 school teachers, all with their eyes half shut, trying to look up the hill. Well, I can't see it. And I had to run away with me laughter, with my tears coming out of my eyes. Where's he gone?
But I mean, there must be so many tales associated with the hill. I mean, I know many people sort of see it as almost a pilgrimage if you get up there to the top in Corran's Folly.
Corran's Tower.
Corran's Tower, yes, is that's how he built it. He didn't call it a folly, but, you know, well, those buildings are follies, aren't they? So he built this. I think it was 1806. He built the thing, and he was told to block out the windows because people would be going on the rocks in their boats. But the Board of Trade, they bought it after he died, and he wanted his whole family to be buried up there, including himself, which he did bury his family, and there are headstones up there, but they're on the inside. They were used to block up the windows.
Okay.
And you can only read them if you get in, which is a difficult situation now. I've tried my best to take parties up there, and, you know, I know who's got the key, but sadly, because of the situation it is today, nobody can go in.
So do we know if they are actually all buried up there? Are they there?
They are. When Thomas Corran himself, when he died, he was a member of a church that met. It would be opposite the courthouse, I should imagine, on Athol Street in Douglas. And the building is still there. I'm not too sure what it is now. And he was a member of the church there. He would take his horse and carriage, horse and trap maybe, I'm not too sure, to get to it, and he preached there. But his son wasn't a member. His son was a member of St. Patrick's Church in Patrick, in Kirkpatrick, and he wanted to be buried up there in it wasn't consecrated ground. He said God is everywhere, sort of thing. So he wanted to be buried up there, but his son said no. He said yes. His son said no. So when he died, his son made sure he was buried here.
Okay.
His friends dug him up and took him up the hill, where they hid him. for a while, and eventually the church relented, and he was allowed to be buried up there, but the church consecrated the ground against
bit of a compromise.
It was. That's just the same as the burials of the Turks at Knockalo. They, in their religion, they get buried stood up. The graves were dug by a local man, an infidel in their eyes, so it had to be completely washed. All of the ground had to be washed, and the church wouldn't allow this to be stood up. So what they did, they compromised by putting some bricks under the head of the coffin, so they were on an angle.
A font of knowledge on all things Peel.
He really is. It's fascinating. We spent a merry hour there with Roy just talking about various things, and there is something else coming next week, and it's a little bit sinister.
Oh. I tell you what, there's more sinister stuff around the Isle of Man than you like to think, isn't there? I mean, we stuff at Milntown, which was a little bit sinister, and then we did something at the Ginger Hall, I think, last year.
Yes, yeah, we went for that little walk run.
There were some
tales
there which were a bit sinister, including sort of haunting and some real life
I'm wondering,
rather sad and tragic stories, and you think, gee.
I am wondering whether we need to sort of revisit, it's probably an autumn thing, I think, is sort of, the spiritual side of things.
Well,
and
I think that's always good for the sort of, October-y time.
I think we've done Milntown now. I don't think we need to sleep there again. I wonder whether there's
I still haven't found out
else.
About the spooky steps. Those spooky steps
do you
from
remember
last
that?
time.
So if you haven't listened to that Hop Tune special, it is well worth listening back to. So this is where we had some microphones placed around Milntown, and one of them in the upstairs picked up some footsteps. I mean, it is footsteps. There's nothing else it could possibly be. And you and Chris Pearson were sleeping there, and adamant that you were both in the same room.
We
you had
didn't
not
hear
moved.
anything ourselves.
So this was sort of like middle of the night. What about sort of 3 p.m.ish?
3:30.
Oh, I've erased it from my mind, and now it's just back. And I'm
Although
not sure
you
what to
see,
think about
again,
it.
I mean, there was this issue in that we played it quite a bit. We played it on the programme. We asked various people. We played it to Charles Gard, who was, I mean, Charles, on the one hand, I think he's all things Milntown again and is fascinated, but naturally, I suppose, is quite sceptical.
Yeah.
And he sort of listened to it. Now, again, I haven't really done much more with it in that, things move, time moves on, and et cetera, you go on to other things. I did see him earlier this year, and we sort of reminisced on that, and he said, did you ever get that original recording from Chris and sort of play it? I said, no. Said, oh, well, I don't suppose I'm that surprised, really, now that I know that I do what I do. I said,
what?
No, what do you do? He said, oh, no, we're not going to go back there again now, and wandered off. And he's never said anything else to me.
Knowing now.
Well, I don't know.
Gosh.
There was a vague suggestion, he still seemed to be, that it wasn't
Genuine.
Yeah, but Chris, obviously we've had this debate and we had it on air as well, and Chris is absolutely adamant that no, he wasn't playing around, he wasn't just
Well, you would know
us.
because you were with him, so...
Oh, he definitely didn't get up in the night and go and do anything.
Oh, my goodness.
Whether it was a post-production thing or something you put on the tape to make it sound like... I don't know. Charles was always very sceptical that it sounded like sound effects of footsteps, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You get a sound effect CD or tape or something from YouTube or whatever, it's a bit like that.
Okay.
Too much like that in his ears.
We probably do need to revisit the recording then.
And Chris is adamant, no way, I wouldn't do that. And he'd always be, to be fair to Chris, he'd always been from day one, it'd been his suggestion to go and do something. And the first thing he said was, there's no point in doing it if we're going to mess around.
Okay. Well, if you have any suggestions of where else we might like to go and visit for a spiritual encounter, then do get in touch and let us know. But it has reached the time of the show where I think we're up for a little bit of a challenge.
Well, I'll try. I don't know whether this one, I might not even be able to do it or not.
So you've got a plastic water bottle there, which has got the lid on, and there's a little bit of water in the bottom. Is that deliberate?
No, that's not really deliberate.
Oh, right. So you need to pour that away. Oh, pour it into my cup. How old is it?
Oh, a couple of years.
Are you joking? Oh, thanks.
It's fine.
I had a lovely cup of tea
It's all
there.
good. Right, it's good. It's just water.
Watered
just
down.
water, I think. Anyway.
Right.
So, the idea is, and I don't know that you can do it, you screw the cap on and then you got to screw the bottle up really tight.
So you're basically just trying to scrumple the bottle. What are you doing?
I'm trying to screw it. That's it.
Right. So he's got his hands and he's wringing the bottle with all his might, but it's not going
difficult.
terribly well.
No, it's not.
Goodness knows where this is going. Right, okay, so he's really going for it now. Just pretend it's someone you don't like.
Okay, like that, and then the idea is then you try and get into there. You're trying to compress the air into the top end.
Right.
But this bottle is pretty touchy, so I don't know if I do it or not.
Stay with us, dear listener. It will be worth it in the end. Right, okay. He's
and
given
the
it a good...
idea is when you take this lid off,
Yeah.
you condense the air and you get like a little cloud that comes out.
Okay, so we're looking for a little cloud that's coming out the bottle. Okay, right, so the lid's coming off.
Oh,
did you hit...
No. You could hear the air coming out. But I failed entirely.
Gosh, that was fun.
Oh. I'm exhausted.
Do you want me to have a go?
I've seen it done.
I'll tell you what, I'll have a go. And
right. You have a go.
While I'm ringing the bottle for all I'm worth, maybe it's time for a walk down memory lane. What do you reckon?
Yes. Well, actually, funnily enough, this came up again quite recently because I was talking to Morris, as in Mozza, he of the A Little Light Music fame. Our own Morris.
Yeah.
And he was talking, he played something, and he played a lovely selection of that, Thursday night, 9 o'clock, Manx Radio, of course, and he mentioned Florrie Ford. I think he played a bit of Florrie Ford quite recently. And I said, oh, do you know about Florrie Ford's dog? And he said, no, I don't. Bonzo. And if you remember, a while back here on the TMG, Mee Gindys, we went investigating to see whether it's true that Florrie Ford's dog is buried in the grounds of what was the Castle Mona, now private, of course, you can't get in there.
Lucky we did it when we did.
We did it. We did this quite a while back. And her dog is indeed there.
And just have a listen and see who you think has been inhaling helium.
Right. Well, a fine day, thank heavens, on the lookout for plaques. There's a sort of plaque theme to Mee Gindys in these early stages. And this is something that a gentleman of a certain age mentioned to us a while back, saying, did you know that there is a plaque, or sort of like a headstone, to Florrie Ford, the great musical entertainer's dog, by the Castle Mona? And I didn't. Nor did Beth. At least I don't think she did.
No, I had no idea at all.
So where is it?
That is the question. We did think we'd found it, but that was actually rubbish, just sort of pressed against the back of the wall. So I don't know if it's further along down here, perhaps.
Right.
Let's just take a walk. Why would it be here anyway?
Well, I understand this area used to be grassland a while back, so it's a sort of place there that people might have buried their pets, although if Florrie Ford's dog was here, Florrie Ford was well known for having a cottage out by Niarble, so you'd have thought it would have been easier just to bury her there, really, if she did indeed bury a dog down here, but your guess is as good as mine. This is the sort of thing we need to know.
Yeah, exactly. This is all grassland here then, so presumably...
I think this was all grassland originally, yeah.
Yeah, presumably it must be along here, whether it's actually in the base of the wall, or if it's in the floor.
Well, if push comes to shove, we'll go back to our source and see if he...
You should have got better directions, Howard.
It's a nice day, don't grumble. Ah, no, what's this? Oh, it's a satellite dish.
Yeah. Do you think it could be on the outside of the wall?
Well, that's what I'm thinking now. I'm told it's just where the shops are, which is, or above them now, so...
Yeah, I think we go and have a look over there.
Down, hopefully. And if not, we give up. Right, well, it's not down there, nothing down there, nothing over... I think we're on the wrong side.
I think we need to go back over there in that corner.
Well, exactly.
It's a gorgeous day, actually. It's really sheltered from the wind here.
Yes, this is more like it. We like this weather for hunting for headstones. Now, what's down here?
2 big yellow skips, 3 bags of rubbish.
And a partridge in a pear tree. Look at that. She's found it. Hiding behind a skip. There! There we are. We found it. Well, it's Beth, as I say we. I was actually hiding behind a skip. And here we have them.
Oh, wow. Right, here, I'll pull that away there. You can see there's an
Very good
inscription on
idea.
that one.
Now then, let's just... Oh, there we go. And it does mention Florrie Ford. Here lies Bonzo. What a fantastic name. Died the 25th of July 1939, aged 12 years. Florrie Ford's little pal. How's that?
Fantastic. And there's another one here. We can just make a Sandy.
For 9
years.
Faithful friend and companion of Mrs. M. Rogers, is that?
Yeah, Rogers.
January the
31st, 1940.
1940. Now, she could be a manager of the hotel, possibly. But here they are, just tucked right at the far end, partially hidden, one almost totally hidden by some gristolinia and some holly, tucked away there. You really wouldn't notice them at all. And they're just so small mini headstones, dog-sized headstones, I guess. They're, what, 2 foot tall?
Yeah, it's that, really.
I suppose in, I don't know what, granite, I think one of them, is it? Or, I don't know, not much of a geologist, I'm
Pretty
afraid.
substantial.
It's a good substantial piece of rough-hewn rock on the back there, set in a Manx sandstone base, with ubiquitous empty beer can and a few wrappers and detritus around the bottom there, but otherwise in excellent condition. Well, what do you know? So now then, all we need to do now is why? Why down here? It's a real case of Mee Gindys, I feel.
It really is.
Classic
there we
stuff.
go.
Was it you on the helium? Not too
It wasn't too bad, actually. I've heard higher recordings of me from years gone by. But yeah, I'm so glad we did that when we did, because that's another thing that we find with this programme, particularly when we did our Tholton Wanderers series last year, that if you don't go and see some of our little treasures while they're still available, then the chance can all too soon be lost.
And I keep wondering, you can't get there now, obviously.
No.
It is sort of private land. We did have permission then to go and take a look at it several years back. But are they still there? And more to the point, I don't know what the exact, I can't remember exactly what the development is there now, but do the people know about it? Is it going to be preserved, or is it just going to be all trashed?
I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it?
I don't know. It is one of those ones. It's a lovely little thing. I can't find my photos as well. I know we took photos.
We did, didn't we? I wonder where they are.
I wonder what they were. It might be on my camera or on my phone.
Oh, gosh, a camera. Goodness me. OK, another dip in the archive then. And we are enjoying this tape so much that we've decided we're going to keep going with this. It is the Wonderful World of Man cassette tape. It was produced in 1975. The narrator is Geoffrey Crellin. And I think when we left Geoffrey last week, he was talking about the TT. So that really was a different era, wasn't it? What have we got this week then?
Say push the button.
OK, push the button. There we go. Lift the fader.
Or even further, to Alec Bennett, who won 5 TTs between 1921 and 1932. The 250s come screaming through Ramsey. The most important thing in the Manx year is the ceremony at Tynwald Hill in St. John's, where the ancient Parliament meets on Old Midsummer Day.
I'm glad he got onto the Tynwald. I thought we'd lost it for a minute.
We had as well. Even the bikes sounded higher then, didn't they?
They did. Right, we might catch up a little bit more on the Geoffrey and Tynwald Day in the next programme.
Take care now. Bye-bye.